Thank you, Jeremiah Lockwood. That was Ki Anu Amecha from the High Holiday Services that we're going to be hosting at Congregation Beth Shalom in San Francisco. It's great to have you join us for this pre-High Holiday Jam. If you didn't recognize Ki Anu Amecha, that's because normally you're familiar with a different melody. This was a melody that was written this year by Jeremiah. The meaning of the words is because we are your people. And Jeremiah has added a wonderful bluesy, soulful version to rewrite our music and our liturgy. And I just want to give everyone here, maybe you haven't participated in these high holiday services, Jeremiah Lockwood and I met a decade ago in Tribeca. And the true story is I prayed for someone who would be able to have the musicality and the innovation to call back some of the old melodies and liturgies while bringing it to fresh life. And Jeremiah has done that. And so we started these services in Tribeca. And maybe in year 1 or year 2, Mike, if you could appear on the screen now, Mike Greenhouse, who is the editor-in-chief of Relics magazine. He showed up in our services in Tribeca and he just got it. I mean, Mike just totally understood the type of Jewish community and the peoplehood, right? Ki Anu Amecha, because we are your peoplehood, we are your nation. Mike completely understood the need to create community and how great music, especially working at Relics and working with Pete Shapiro, has been able to foster community through music. And it was with Mike's encouragement and his really amazing idea. where he said, "You guys are great. Why don't you do the High Holiday services at Brooklyn Bowl?" And I remember thinking to myself, "Wow, that's a wild idea." And then it was Pete who said, "Call it Bowl Hashanah." And we continued that ritual here, although 2 years ago I moved to run a Congregation Beth Shalom in San Francisco, because Jewish has continued under Mike's leadership. And if I can call in Eula here, if Eula, you could join us. Eula has been really leading those services along with Jordan McLean and Rabbi Daniel Brenner to continue what was created beautifully at Because Jewish. And Mike has really been spearheading this effort. And so what we have this year, because of COVID and everything going on, is that we have an opportunity for this amazing East Coast, West Coast reunion of all of these collaborators who have been creating community through the power of music. And so I just want to welcome Mike in. Mike, on this end here in San Francisco at Congregation Beth Shalom, it's been no small challenge to take the high holidays. We've always tried to balance the traditional high holidays with Jeremiah's innovative music high holidays, because we believe that all different paths come and we can find all different paths to God and to the high holy days. And that's really resonated well over here. And I know the community that Jeremiah and you have begun has continued to grow. And you guys are continuing to do the high holidays. So for us over here, it was no small task to figure out how in the world to do them this year. I'm curious to know what's going on with you and Because Jewish, and what are your plans?
Well, I mean, I think like anyone else who is involved in anything that involves gathering people together or producing anything that's live, it's been changing every day since March 11th. I should also mention, Wendy Wyman, who worked with Dan.
Of course, Wendy.
Services,
of course, Wendy.
Doing an amazing job in that. So, Wendy and I and Eula and Jordan and Jeremiah and Rabbi Brenner have been talking for the last 6 months about basically what we want to do. And it went from being by the fall, everything will be okay, we could do what we always do, to maybe it'd be some sort of hybrid option where there's a few people in the room, or 25% of the people in the room, and then everyone else watches online, to what we are going to do, which is do the services as we traditionally do. Will be the full service with a lot of our musical guests, only there will not be anyone in the room except for the people who are involved in leading the services or helping produce them. And
so it'll be live from the bowl.
It'll be live, and it'll be Brooklyn Bowl this year. We're very excited that we're going to be doing 4 of the high holiday services from Brooklyn Bowl: the Erev Rosh Hashanah service on September 18th, our traditional Bowl Hana morning service the next morning, and then Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur Day we will also be doing there, morning and day Yom Kippur. So that's one exciting thing that's happened with all this, is that we could do some other services there, and it's all going to be broadcast for free on fans.com, which is a great website that Pete helped launch, and actually has some San Francisco ties as well. And now, as we were able to weave in some friends who either wouldn't be able to be there in person because of where they live or other commitments that they usually have for the holidays. So we're going to have some pre-recorded bits and some simulcast bits, including we've been wanting this for many years, but to have Jeremiah and some of our West Coast friends contribute. We're going to have Lebo from ALO contribute to a few of the services. Reed Genauer, who lives in the Bay Area, will be joining us, and his father, who is a cantor, will be contributing as well from the East Coast. We're going to be having Alex Bleeker from Real Estate, who also lives in the Bay Area there, as well as a bunch of our New York friends and contemporaries, Jordan McLean, who's been involved in the services through Jeremiah since maybe a year. Stepped up and was an important part of our musical direction. We're going to be having John, who's been our drummer since I think year 2, is keeping it there. Eula joined us last year, and will be our cantorial soloist. And a lot of other friends are going to be popping by, and we'll be announcing those soon.
I love that this is like such your fandom, dude. It's like I love that who played in what year. Like, oh well, John joined in year 2. So here's my trivia question: do you know who played organ before Shoko?
Uh,
That is
Jared did, right? Yeah,
what
yeah,
up? That's crazy. Wow, that's right. Jared joined us for year 1. Okay, so I
yeah.
never again challenge you, Mike.
But I think we could have. Well, it's funny that, and that this it's very fitting that the people we have on this call today are representing the kind of the Bay Area and the California music community, as well as the New York and Brooklyn and extended Northeast music community. Because I always said that being at Relics, there is such a deep connection and parallel world going on in the Bay Area, and we would always say that there's, this person is this person's counterpart on the West Coast or on the East Coast if we were out and visiting friends and family or festivals on the West Coast. And it definitely feels like the services this year are having a very similar thing, and they're intersecting.
Totally. Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about sort of the East Coast to West Coast connection is there was something that Eula and Jeremiah and Jordan and these musicians were doing with Judaism and with spiritual music that was being born 10 years ago, and that has now begun to spread. Like I've spread here, I've come to San Francisco, the community has embraced Jeremiah. So this year we are pre-recording some of our services so that we have video experiences, and then we're also going to go live before sundown. And what we've tried to do, because I'm now, we went from a startup because Jewish, I'm now part of this 100-year-old congregation, Beth Shalom, that has this wonderful reputation for innovation. So we've tried to hold all of our innovation through video experiences. So Jeremiah, along with Tiri Odabi, who's an unbelievable soul singer from Oakland, along with Rob Reich, who is a wonderful organ player, and Darian Gray, who is Booker T. Jones's drummer on his for his tour. Like they got together in our sanctuary and created these video experiences. One is the Rosh Hashanah experience, and then Kol Nidre experience, as only Jeremiah can play Kol Nidre, and then this Ne'ilah experience. And then in addition to that, we also have the traditional liturgy. So for the people who want to experience what a traditional service sounds like, we've also thought of them. We've also thought of people who just like to meditate. So our congregation, Beth Shalom, was the first conservative congregation to build in a meditation chapel. So we have Rabbi Dorothy Richmond and Rabbi Amanda Russell, who are leading meditative services from the meditation chapel. And then of course, what we started building it because Jewish was a real fan base. Like we've had those wonderful, if you remember when we did Phil's band, right? Phil and Friends did Purim with us. Phil's son did Purim with us. And so we've continued that here by also providing family experiences. And I just think that there's a movement happening in which people experience God and spirituality through music, through Jeremiah likes to challenge people with the music. I mean, sometimes it's really hard to hear. Sometimes you hear Eula's voice and you just want to cry. And that can happen only through beautiful music. And I just love, and I felt very blessed. As we were preparing for the high holidays, we had, one of these amazing crew people who does a lot of great stuff and does a lot of filming all around the Bay Area with much of the crew. And I said, oh, you figured out my ruse. And he said, what's that? I said, just surround yourself with supremely talented people and then hope that it rubs off a little bit on you. And so for the past decade, I have done my best to surround myself with awesome and talented people. And I want everyone to know that you can get to our services just by going to our website, which is bethshalomsf.org. And just like you that's really the idea, that the beautiful thing is to experience some of these services, you had to be at Brooklyn Bowl or you had to be in our congregation. And I think that prevented sort of this movement from really growing and expanding as rapidly as it will because of me. Because I was insistent that the experience can only happen in that live space. And you and Pete got that, right? But what I've really found is your pivot of Relics' pivot to really create fans.com and to create these virtual experiences. And the fact that you're now teaming up with them, I think is just going to help grow this and hopefully connect people to a spirit of renewal. And I think we all need a little bit of that this year, perhaps more than any other year. So I wanted to thank you, Mike, and to thank you, Jeremiah, and now Eula. Eula, if I could sort of ask you if you might give us a little piece from what people might expect to hear when they tune into fans.com and hear Bo Lashana, and you can take us out with that.
Sure. I just want to add two things. First of all, that it's since last year, that was one of the most fun experiences that I had, and I know Jeremiah for many years and love the music, and just to be able to do that and be part of it was amazing and special. I was so happy that this thing is happening even remotely this year. And the second thing is that just before this call started, I was actually working on sending Indie Guys, a vocal trio that was singing last year in the services, and because we can't be together this year, one of them is in Israel and one of them is in Miami and I'm in New York, then we're going to create just an online, music, just two music pieces. And one of them I was just working on to send to the girls to learn. So it's easy for me to just go ahead and do that. Oseh shalom bimomam, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, Be'al kol Yisrael ve'imu amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.